Hello there, welcome back, and yes, I am at the comforts of home. I am not at the booth at the Sadlin Arena. Thought I'd take a different type of video approach for today because tonight is going to be some history for the city of Brantford. It's the first preseason home game for the Brantford Bulldogs. They're going to be taking on the Kitchener Rangers tonight. That's going to be at the Wayne Gretzky Sports Complex, so not their home rink just yet as the renovations continue at the Civic Center. I just wanted to go over some of the history with Brantford and just talking about whether or not OHL hockey can be sustainable in the Telephone City. Of course, the Bulldogs, their history dates back to the Belleville Bulls, hence why I'm wearing, I think this is my favorite jersey in my collection. This was like the best uniform, I think, to take to the ice on the Ontario Hockey League. It was unfortunate, the situation that transpired in Belleville, and of course, Michael Andlauer would eventually purchase the Bulls and then move them to the First Ontario Center in Hamilton, where they've had some good success. 2 OHL championships, and the fan base has been strong in Hamilton. Hamilton, they love their hockey, and they do love the Bulldogs. The only problem is that arena just way too big for Major Junior. I was there in the playoffs when the Barrie Colts played them in the first round, and the atmosphere is electric. And that's just with the lower bowl. The top bowl has always been curtained off unless it was a deep run in the playoffs. And when that place is packed, it's something else. But for the time being, though, they needed to do the renovations because it was originally Copps Coliseum with the intention of the National Hockey League maybe one day landing in the Hammer City. But the Bulldogs taking that place and now relocating to Brantford for at least the next 3 years as the renovations take place at First Ontario. But, looking at the history of Brantford, they do have a connection to the Ontario Hockey League. They had the Brantford Alexanders. They lasted 6 seasons from 1978 until 1984. No championships during that time in Brantford, although they did have a couple of big rivalries from what I was digging through with the Windsor Spitfires and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, and they also had some nice jerseys too. I'm a jersey collector, so when I see old pictures of jerseys, I get excited, and I kind of hope that the Brantford Bulldogs, while their time in Brantford, they could do some sort of a throwback to the red jersey with the white leaf with the letter A. It was a classic. If you haven't seen it, definitely check out some of those old photos. And even digging deep with the Brantford Alexanders, they had some good talent come through that team. You've got the likes of Shane Corson, who ended up having a great NHL career. You also have Rick Wormsley, Bob Probert. He's a legend with the Detroit Red Wings with what he brought to the game. And also Mark Hunter, the current general manager of the London Knights. He also played for the Brantford Alexanders. So they do have the history. The unfortunate thing is during their time in Brantford, they struggled with their attendance and also with business support. Now, the junior hockey scene was very different when you look back 40 years ago. That's how far it's been since Brantford has been in the Ontario Hockey League. But I don't know. I think this time around, I think the Brantford Bulldogs, or if the Bulldogs end up going back to Hamilton, another Brantford team could survive long term. It's kind of got that vibe when the Mississauga Steelheads moved to St. Catharines for the 07-08 season. St. Catharines, they didn't have a team for quite some time as well, but the community just rallied around. The Niagara Ice Dogs might have some of the best fans in the Ontario Hockey League, and that Jack Gatecliff Arena, though, that was something else. I was there in the first season covering the team when I had a college radio show at Niagara College, and that place, so much fun. I kind of wish more rinks had that atmosphere, but it's understandable with the size of the facilities. The OHL needing to have a facility with several thousand spectators. The Civic Center will become the smallest rink in the Ontario Hockey League. The only other rink that had a low seat count was the Bay Shore, and they're just a little bit bigger. They have a capacity of 3,500, while the Brantford Civic Center will have a capacity of about 3,000. So they had the season ticket drive back in March when they announced that the Bulldogs would be temporarily relocating to Brantford. 2,000 commitments right off the hop. So if you're a visiting fan, this season and the next 2 years might be a challenge to try and see a game in Brantford. The home opener, rather, is going to be on October 7th when the Brantford Bulldogs take on the Oshawa Generals. And It's going to be fun to see what they can do in Brantford as they adapt to the Ontario Hockey League scene. And it is a sports city. I know it's comparing apples to oranges, but if you look at the Intercounty Baseball League with the Brantford Red Sox, they have such a great following, and the community just loves their sports teams. And I think that's what we're going to see here. I know Brantford City Council right now, they're in the process of doing a study about building an arena right now with a limit of 5,000 seats. And then, of course, that could bring in concerts and other sporting events. That's what the Brantford City Council is looking at right now. We'll just have to wait and see if that moves forward, because you got to figure the Ontario Hockey League is not going to want to stay in the Brantford Civic Center long term if Brantford's going to keep this team. But I don't know. I think the Brantford community will embrace this team. This is a Bulldogs team that's done really well, and they've got a core that's growing. Last year was a rebuilding year, but they took the Barrie Colts to 6 games in the first round of the playoffs. So this Brantford team, I think, can be competitive in the East Division. We'll see if they can get home ice come playoff time, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And the other thing is if Brantford stays in the Eastern Conference, like stay past these 3 years, will the OHL look to realign the divisions? Because Brantford's pretty close to Kitchener, Guelph, London, and pretty far from Ottawa and Kingston. You got to figure that's at least a 6-hour commute between Brantford and Ottawa, and you have to play your divisional opponent at least 6 times. So it's quite the hike for the Brantford Bulldogs, but I'm sure for fans, they're just excited to have a team in Brantford. And I think if the Bulldogs do stay in Brantford, once those renovations are done at First Ontario, don't be surprised if we see another team calling the Hammer City home in the Ontario Hockey League. I know there's still speculation about what's going to happen with teams like the Mississauga Steelheads, who are having attendance issues. There's also a community in Eastern Ontario, Cornwall, who a lot of fans have been saying would be great to have in the Ontario Hockey League. So that, if you put a team in Cornwall, that would also fill that void in the East Division. And then you put Brantford in maybe the Central if they stay in the Eastern Conference. Or do you just blow things up and try and get some other divisions? I know there's been a lot of speculation over the last few years since Belleville made that move to Hamilton, and that conversation is still lasting. But you know what? Let me know what you think. Do you think Brantford will be a long-term team in the Ontario Hockey League? Are you excited about having a team in the Telephone City? And what are your expectations for the team this year? I'd like to know in the comments. Comment down below. And if you like these kind of videos where we talk about other teams outside of the Barrie Colts and maybe looking at a little more history on the Ontario Hockey League, hit like and subscribe. When I see that, I know that these are videos that you would like to see more of as we get set for the start of the 2023-2024 OHL season. I'm excited. I'll be back at the rink tomorrow when the Barrie Colts take on the Mississauga Steelheads. It's still not a televised game. I'll let you know that the first game that will be televised for the preseason will be September 23rd when the Barrie Colts take on the Sudbury Wolves. So that's the Brantford Bulldogs and the history of the Brantford Alexanders. It's exciting to see hockey in the Telephone City, and can't wait to see what happens there. So we'll talk to you again soon.